My name is Richard Hale. 73 years old. A name that once opened doors, hushed rooms, and sealed deals now draws nothing more than a disinterested nod, if that. These days, I'm more ghost than man. A shadow in my own life. I live on the edge of town, in a house that should have crumbled by now. But it doesn't. Like me, it holds on. Paint peels off the wood siding like old skin, the porch creaks like bones, but everything inside is in order. Neat. Still sharp. Still precise. Just like I used to be. My children, James and Caroline, live lives I built for them. James drives a car I once picked out. Caroline lives in a house I mortgaged for her wedding. But that was decades ago. Now, they send birthday texts 3 days late, sign Christmas cards with assistants' names, and visit when it's convenient, usually tax season or family photos. My grandchildren? They come over, eyes glued to screens, and leave not remembering what my voice sounds like. I go to the same grocery store every Wednesday morning. No one holds the door. The cashier scans my items without looking at me, asking, debit or credit, like I'm another shopping cart with shoes. At the clinic, nurses talk over me, not to me. He's got early signs, I once overheard one say, whispering like I couldn't hear. Probably doesn't even understand what's going on. I nodded and smiled. I understood perfectly. My days follow a quiet rhythm. Wake at 6. Tea by 6:15. Read the paper front to back, yes, the real one, not the garbage glowing in screens. I sit in my chair, under my old green plaid blanket, and watch the news with the volume off. I like the silence. It helps me listen to the things people think I can't hear. They think I'm done. Used up. The world looks at me and sees decay, irrelevance, senility. They're wrong. There's something they don't know, something they forgot. Fire. It's not a blaze. Not yet. It's a coal, glowing under the ash of what I once was. I feel it now, deeper every day. The silence of this house isn't peace, it's a forge. And every slight, every dismissal, every pitying look, they're fuel. Pieces of wood tossed into the furnace of my memory. I am not angry. Not yet. But I am watching. And I am remembering. And I do not forgive. They say memory fades with age. But I remember everything. Not just the victories. The blood. The weight. The nights I sat in the car, soaked in rain, wondering if I'd lose everything the next morning. I wasn't born into strength. I built it. Brick by F*King Brick. Brooklyn. I was 20. My father died with $22 in a drawer and a family of 5 to feed. I buried him, shook hands with men I hated, and took a job selling office supplies out of the trunk of a car that could barely make it up a hill. 2 years later, I had 3 vans. 5 years, my own warehouse. Then came Hale Logistics, my name in steel letters on a glass tower in Midtown. I still remember the sound of the sign going up. That metal groan. It was the sound of a man arriving. I was feared. Trusted. Respected. I fired men twice my age without blinking. I crushed competitors with silence and strategy. I knew people, what they wanted, what they feared, where to press and when to pull back. Not a brute. A tactician. In business, and in life. When my wife got sick, I never missed a chemo appointment. I read every side effect, every study, every F*King footnote in every brochure. She died anyway. Gracefully. With dignity. Because I made sure of it. Then I kept going, because I had to. I raised our children like I ran the company, structure, values, fire. James didn't want to work. So I paid for 2 degrees until he finally found something he liked, tech consulting, whatever that means. Caroline wanted to paint. So I bought her a studio. And when the bills piled up, I sold my boat and got a second mortgage. I smiled while she thanked God on Instagram and never once mentioned who made it possible. And when the wolves came, partners who smiled while gutting my company from the inside, I didn't go to court. I went to war. Quietly. Methodically. I bought out their debts, exposed their secrets, watched them sell their summer homes and swallow their pride. All without raising my voice. They think I'm just some old man now. A couch. A voice message they don't return. But they forget one thing. I held up the sky. When everything burned, I stood in the flames and didn't blink. When there was nothing left, I built from ash. I gave them a future. And now? Now they don't call. Now they look through me like I'm fog. But I remember. And that's the difference. I still know their secrets. I still know how the world moves. I taught them the rules. And rules can be rewritten. You don't break a man all at once. You break him in pieces. Small, forgettable, humiliating pieces. Last Tuesday, I called James. Just to ask how he was doing. No answer. I left a message. It's your father. Just checking in. He never called back. Not even a text. 3 days later, I saw him on a live stream. Laughing with investors. Bright-eyed. Animated. Like the world had no edges. Caroline sent a Christmas card this year. It was printed. Typed. No ink, no signature. Just warm wishes from the Parkers. I had to remind myself that Parker was her married name. I read the card twice, hoping I missed something. A note. A line. Even a scribble. There was nothing. Last month, I asked my grandson Ryan to help me with the new phone. He rolled his eyes. Said, "It's not that hard, Grandpa." He took it from my hands like it was garbage. He laughed when I asked where the flashlight was. I laughed too. But only with my mouth. My hands shook for an hour after he left. Last week, I went to the clinic. Slipped on the wet tile near the entrance. I reached out, asked the receptionist if she could call someone. She looked up from her phone, blinked twice, and called over her shoulder. "Can someone come get this old man?" This. Old. Man. Not, sir. Not, Mr. Hale. Just, something to move. No one in this city sees me anymore. Not really. They walk past as if I'm a flickering street lamp. A smell in the wind. An echo. But I see them. I've started writing again. Not stories. Not letters. Logs. Notes. Dates. Names. Faces. The nurse who smirked when I didn't hear the question. The neighbor who turned away when my groceries spilled. The bank manager who offered me beginner assistance as if I hadn't once audited a Fortune 500 firm in my sleep. My notebook is filling fast. These are not acts of violence. These are acts of forgetting. And I will not be forgotten. They think I'm sitting here, drooling over old game shows and soup. But I am calculating. My pain is not loud. It does not scream. It gathers. Like water behind a dam. And when that dam breaks, they won't see it coming. It happened on a Thursday. I was walking back from the store. 2 small bags. Nothing heavy. A few cans, bread, that god-awful herbal tea my doctor insists on. The wind was sharp, biting through my coat. My knees locked halfway up the sidewalk. I lost balance. The bag slipped. Cans rolled into the street. Bread landed in a puddle. And I fell. Not hard. But hard enough to feel the weight of age in my bones. Hard enough that people noticed. 2 young men in hoodies passed by. One of them laughed. "Careful, Grandpa. Sidewalks not for naps." I looked up. His friend muttered something. I caught a single word as they walked off, chuckling. Useless. That did it. It wasn't anger. Anger is loud. This was something colder. A silence inside me cracked open like black ice. For years, I held it in. The humiliation. The forgetting. The way they speak around me, not to me. The way my name disappeared from emails, mailboxes, conversations. I gave this world everything. And now it walks over me like pavement. I got up. Slowly. Deliberately. Picked up each item. Brushed the mud off the bread. My fingers trembled, not from weakness. From clarity. That night, I opened the closet in the study. Moved aside the coats. Found the false panel I built in '89, back when I didn't trust banks. Behind it, a fireproof safe. Inside. An old BlackBerry. Cracked, but functional. A stack of cards with numbers, addresses, initials. One leather-bound notebook with a single word on the front, leverage. I hadn't looked at this in over a decade. I didn't need to. Back then, my mind was sharper than any ledger. But now it was time to remember everything. I dusted off the phone. Charged it overnight. Next morning, I dialed a number I hadn't used in 14 years. He picked up on the second ring. He didn't say hello. He said, "Is it time?" I answered, "It's long past time." I spent the next week in silence. Not idle. Studying. Mapping. Watching. Remembering how people moved, who talked to whom, which accounts were exposed, which masks were starting to slip. I used to command rooms with words. Now, I command without being seen. I don't want revenge. I want recognition. I want consequence. I want them to look in the mirror and shatter. They will never know it was me. But they will feel me in every collapse. And when the calls come, when the panic starts, I'll be here. Sitting in the same chair, under the same green blanket. The monster they forgot about. They never saw me coming. That's the thing about being invisible, once people stop seeing you, they stop protecting themselves. They speak freely. They leave doors unlocked. They think the past is buried. But the past doesn't rot. It waits. It began with a name. A man I once saved from financial ruin during the 2008 collapse. He now runs an accounting firm that services 3 of my son's biggest clients. I made one call, not as Richard Hale, but as a silent investor through a holding company I created 20 years ago. By Friday, James lost 2 of those clients to compliance concerns. I didn't smile. There's no joy in this. Only balance. Next, Caroline. I remembered something, a small lie she told years ago to keep her art foundation status, misreporting donors. I sent an anonymous envelope to the Internal Revenue Service, complete with transaction records. Not forged. Real. I had kept the originals. Her nonprofit's funding froze within the month. And Ryan, my smug little grandson with the soft hands and loud mouth. He signed an influencer deal with a sportswear brand. What he didn't know was that one of the brand's executives had a history of NDAs tied to harassment. A story they buried. I leaked the details to a journalist friend I once bailed out of a libel lawsuit in '94. He owed me. Result? Ryan's contract terminated, pending review. His public apology? Delicious. All of it, coordinated, timed, untraceable. No fingerprints. No confrontation. Only silence. And the long, slow burn of realization. I watched it unfold from my chair. The phone started ringing again. First James. Then Caroline. Then Caroline twice. I didn't answer. The house grew louder. Not with noise, but with energy. Like the air before a thunderstorm. The calls turned to texts. Then emails. Then hand-delivered letters. I'm worried about you, Dad. We miss you, Grandpa. Can we come by? No. You can't. You only see me now because your world is cracking. I did not destroy them. I held up a mirror. And let them see. They're unraveling not because I broke them, but because they were never whole to begin with. I just removed the scaffolding. This is not vengeance. This is truth. And truth, when revealed in silence, is the most painful justice of all. Subscribe and like this video, more interesting revenge stories of elderly people coming soon.